legends aren't born, they're forged in fire. Before Florida became the birthplace of extreme metal, before stages became battlegrounds, before chaos had a soundtrack, one man helped ignite a movement that would influence generations of heavy musicians. Tonight, Underground Nation proudly welcomes you to the premiere episode of Season 3, with a guest whose name has echoed throughout the underground for more than 4 decades. A pioneer, a performer, a true architect of chaos, the one and only Nasty Ronnie of Nasty Savage. Joining him in the hot seat are 2 unforgettable voices of the Underground Nation podcast. The Redheaded Flame of Chaos, Feral Minx, and your host with the Ghost Bounce Ball Boogie. Together, they'll dive into the origins of Nasty Savage, the birth of Florida Trash, the stories behind Ronnie's legendary stage performances, the band's incredible legacy, and what fans can expect as Nasty Savage prepares to unleash mayhem at Tampa Death Fest. From unforgettable memories and behind-the-scenes stories to lessons learned over a lifetime of making heavy music, this conversation celebrates one of metal's true pioneers and the legacy he continues to build. So whether you're a lifelong fan of Nasty Savage or discovering their story for the very first time, you're about to witness a conversation that captures the heart, the history, and the passion of the underground. Welcome to the Underground Nation Podcast Season 3. This is where legends, rebels, and rising stars come together. This is where we keep making noise underneath the surface. Ladies and gentlemen, Nasty Ronnie is officially in the hot seat.
What is up, creatures of the underground? Welcome back to the Underground Nation podcast, where we shine a spotlight on the artists, bands, and visionaries making noise underneath the surface. I'm your host with the Ghost Bounce Ball Boogie.
And I'm the Redheaded Flame herself, Feral Minx. Tonight, we're diving headfirst into the history of Florida metal with a true pioneer whose legacy helped shape extreme music as we know it.
For decades, our guest has delivered crushing riffs, unforgettable performances, and a stage presence that has become legendary in the metal world. From classic records like Indulgence and Penetration Point to the latest chapter, Jeopardy Room, his impact on heavy music can still be felt today.
And with Nasty Savage preparing to unleash chaos at Tampa Death Fest, we couldn't be more excited to welcome the man himself to the hot seat. Please welcome Nasty Ronnie of Nasty Savage.
Woo! Ronnie! Welcome to the Underground Nation. How are you, man?
It's good to be here in the underground, man, and I heard a lot about you guys. I'm excited to talk to y'all today. Awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. We're excited just to get you in here. So thank you for taking the time from your busy-ass schedule, man.
I'm always available for you guys, man, and any other metal media, because it's so damn important that people support you and understand how hard you work with the passion that you have to deliver the metal information out there to the people who need it.
Absolutely. And they definitely fucking need it. Let me tell you that, Ronnie.
Yeah, man, I'm telling you.
So, Nasty Ronnie, take us back to the beginning. What was the Tampa metal scene like when Nasty Savage first came together?
Man, you know, it wasn't really happening. I mean, there was a band called Avatar, and they turned into Savatage, and there was another band named Vengeance, and they were playing some stuff. And then Argus, there was about those 3 bands that started playing heavy metal, new wave, British heavy metal, and that's how I got into it. By just really getting, there was a record store that he would get all this new age British heavy metal. Like when Iron Maiden first came out, the first Maiden album and all the singles, and every week he'd say, got all these releases. There's a magazine now called Kerrang and Metal Forces. So I was starting to get that information and started researching. Then I saw Holocaust, Angel Witch, bands like that, man. Diamond Head, of course, and Metallica came out, Slayer. So I was inspired. Wendy O. Williams and the Plasmatics, big time. And I always liked punk rock too, like the Sex Pistols, the Damned, and, extreme stuff that got my attention, people who stood out. And I went to a concert in Atlanta to see Iron Maiden and Judas Priest, and it was the Killers tour of Maiden. So that put a big impact on me. I saw the Plasmatics, and I thought, man, I'd like to be in a band, shit. And a buddy of mine said, hey, this band's looking for a singer, and they were called Nightmare. And it was Fred, Ben, and Craig Huffman. So I went over there, and I tried out for the band, and I sang a couple of songs. I left, and then never heard back from the guys. So I was like, damn, what the hell? But then about a week later, I saw them at a keg party. So I said, because we used to have keg parties in the woods and shit back then. So I said, I went right up to him. I said, dude, do you guys want me to be your singer or not? And they go, yeah, we do. I go, I'll be over Monday with a game plan. So I came over Monday. It was the jam house, all the people. I said, everybody out except the band. Everybody out. And they're looking at me, who's this guy? I said, no, please, just everybody out. I go, okay, guys, sit down. I said, the name of the band is Nasty Savage. I'm Nasty Ronnie, the wildest singer ever. I said, we're going to put our money together. We're going to save our money. We're going to have a vision, man. We're going to be businesslike. And we're going to do a demo tape with 4 songs because we're not going to waste a lot of time. Put 4 songs on that we're going to create. It's going to be called Wage of Mayhem. And I said, within 1 year, we're going to be signed to a label. We're going to be touring and we're getting fan mail from all over the world. I said, is everybody in? And they said, hell yeah. And it all happened, So that was our roots getting into it. So I knew, and bands today should listen to this because I knew that I had to create, along with the band's music and the power. I'm the singer who really wasn't a singer, just kind of played one on stage. It's like a joke. But I figured, man, I'm going to do the marketing. If no one else is going to do it, I'm jumping in here. So we just started marketing and sensationalizing and buying and started doing shows in cow pastures and stuff. And we slowly, not really slowly, pretty fast, we created this Wage of Mayhem kind of thing with the crowds and the people. And one of the first shows we ever played, putting posters, flyers, at the copy machine, cutting and pasting and, old school shit. There was no cell phones, no Instagram, there's no Facebook, there was nothing, man. It was like go out hardcore, underground, guerrilla marketing, and that's all I knew because I was just that kind of person. So we had this first show we were doing in a suburban neighborhood. The parents were out of town, and it was this guy, Tom Hepner's house. We went out that day, a day before, with Fred's van and to a construction site, and we stole a bunch of plywood, 2x4s, and we made this big stage in the side yard. And the dude paid us $40 to play our very first show. So we start playing, and all of a sudden there's like 100 people in the front yard and the side yard. So, man, people are ready to see this new band called Nasty Savage, who's already created a little stir here and there. A buddy of mine pulled up on a Harley, and I came to the back of the crowd all the way back by the street. I said, dude, let me ride that Harley. So I got on it, went right through the crowd, pulled right up to the front of the stage, jumped up. We already had TVs on stage and shit back then, and we just started playing. It was Craig Huffman was the drummer, Ben Meyer was guitarist, and Fred Dregerson. It was 4 of us. And so we're playing, and about 3 or 4 songs into it, like 3 sheriff's cars pull up. They come right up through the crowd, and I told the guys, okay, wait, right before they get here, we're going to play this song. And right when they got there, and everybody's watching. Oh, no, look, the cops are here. Nasty Savage are coming. They're going to shut it down, man. So as soon as they got right in front of us, we played Judas Priest, Breaking the Law, Breaking the Law, Breaking the Law. So the defiance of that alone put people on edge going, holy shit, we love this anarchy. These guys aren't afraid, man. This is it's Nasty Savage, So the cops said, you're done, man. Stop it or we're going to throw you all in jail. And they left. And as soon as they left, of course, we cranked it right back up. And the crowd, I could feel the energy. And to this day, I can't forget it because I could feel the crowd was like going, hell yeah. And so they came back and totally shut us down after that. But that was the beginning of the Wage of Mayhem that we were pioneers of in the Brandon area. So every time we played, it just gathered more like a snowball going downhill. There's more and more people. I was already sending out photos of some stuff to these magazines and fanzines all over the world saying, it's coming, our demo tape, be on the lookout. So we're already getting press with that. And I started getting a ton of press. So what I did next is I went to the Brandon newspaper, our local paper. I said, look, local boys are doing good here, man. I said, we're getting fan mail from all over the world and shit. Look. And they go, this is awesome, man. When's your next show? And I said, well, we're playing at Ruby's Pub next Saturday. They said, let's send we'll send the photographers out there to cover it. And we'll do a big story on Nasty Savage. I said, awesome.
So at that time, you guys already had, like the whole next thing. It was prepared. You went from just, building it out of 2x4s and just $40 to get paid. Now you guys have everything, now they're ready for you.
Looking for bold, high-quality merch that hits harder than your next show? At Smoke and Barrel Apparel, we fire up the best in screen printing and promotional gear. Crafted for bands, artists, and creators who refuse to blend in. From shirts to banners, from tour drops to custom promo runs. We've got your back with the best prices around. Learn more today at Smokin. That's SMOKINBA.com. Official sponsor of the Underground Nation podcast, supporting the heartbeat of the underground, one print at a time. Contact Ryan Chavez for more information. Smoke in Barrel Apparel, where your brand meets the barrel.
Looking back, did you ever imagine that Nasty Savage would become one of the foundational bands of Florida's extreme metal scene?
Well, I never thought of it that way. I just was worried about getting us to the next step. And that's what I was saying is these kids today, they need to go out and make that shit happen. So what happened is the guys came, the photographers, right? And now they're seeing us in front of a big-ass sold-out, like the place was packed, Ruby's Pub, a famous place for tape trading and, Death. We brought them in after this, and the eve of New Year's, Evil and stuff. But the mayhem that these photographers were seeing, they're used to go seeing like a check presentation or shovels in the gold shovels in the ground, a grand opening, or, just boring shit. A church thing or whatever. Now they're seeing mayhem and stage diving and the commanding of the people and shit. After the show, they came to me, oh my God, this is so fucking cool, bro. This is badass. I said, hey, do you have the keys to the dark room over at the newspaper office? They go, yeah. I go, how about we go there tomorrow and develop all these pictures you took? And they go, oh, okay. So I went there probably for hours. I got stacks of pictures in the dark room. They put it in the water, bring it out. Really cool. Black and white. So now I was armed with real ammunition to send to all these fanzines and magazines all over the world, and I'd keep investing in that in the demo tapes. So I'd send somebody. I'm a publisher now. I publish a Born to Ride magazine. I've done that this week. Nice. This month is my 266th edition. Before that, I was
congratulations.
Then in the 90s, I published Born to Ride Television. I was the producer, 1,340 episodes. So even back then, I knew what other publishers needed before I was even one. So I sent them the demo, a press release, and a bunch of cool photos. Next thing you know, a couple months later, we'd get all this stuff in our mailbox of reviews, and then the orders for the tapes came. We ended up selling like 3,000 demo tapes, and it just didn't stop. Same thing with radio stations. I'd take
That's a lot for back then.
I'd take a cassette tape of the demo, and there's always a little bit of tape left, and I had a rock box, so I would cut promos. Because every college had a college radio show, and they always had a metal show, and there was hundreds, I swear to God. And there was other ones too, so I would cut these promos like, this is Nasty Ronnie from Nasty Savage here on KPFT Houston, Texas. And here's a demo, here's a song off our demo tape, Wage of Mayhem. This is Unchained Angel here on KPFT. So now I'd send that to the DJ, and the DJ would go, oh, hell yeah. So what do you think they're going to do? They're going to play it. So that's what would happen. And then Texas, one at that station, we did over-air interviews and all this shit like we're doing today, talking about it. They ended up booking us 3 shows, San Antonio, Austin, and Houston. We put gas in the tank on a demo and went to Texas. And we blew those fuckers away, man, because we are young. We're just young and full of mayhem, man. And that's how we got signed. We took the opportunities that were at hand. And, so
absolutely.
So we knew we had to get out of Brandon because first you got to create something in your own hometown if you want anybody to believe in you, prove it, you know?
That's right.
And
You gotta
once
prove it.
Yeah, so in the meantime, Craig Huffman left. We acquired David Austin, and we got another guitarist, David, 2 guitars, and we had Curtis Beeson as a new drummer. And that was the guys who created the demo tape. So we were off and running at that point.
But
And
Nasty Ronnie, where is all this drive coming from, man? I mean, where is this drive, and especially in the early years, both musically and personally? What made you push through all the barriers like this?
well, I was always inspired by, leadership, winners, people who stood out, not followers, and like you could look at maybe Elvis Presley or David Bowie, or, people who stood out, Ronnie Van Zant, Bon Scott, Jim Morrison. I was always into even the Beatles and just see how what with their music. And I was like, man, if I'm not gonna not do it. I said, let's go full speed ahead. And that's my mentality with everything kind of I do when I'm an entrepreneur out of many, many different businesses and things like that. So they could say I was like 9 to 5 nasty because I used that character and then I shut it down when I was off the stage and I'd go back to taking care of business. And, you learn respect and you learn honor and family and love. And, it's all important to be grounded. And that's what I did. I was like a politician, kissing babies and shaking hands and working with media and creating an image that we wanted to create. And so while we were doing this stuff in Brandon and Tampa, we got to play with Sabotage a lot of times. Believe it or not, they would cut our set short. They cut the power. They cut our lights. Because we were getting a little bit too much notoriety from the fans. I swear to God that shit would happen. So in the crowd were who later on became the new legends of death metal. I mean, we're just doing our thing. But I think when we're from Florida. Who is from Florida? The swamplands, the beaches. Everything was L.A., San Francisco, New York City with Anthrax or Exodus and Slayer and Metallica. No one cared about Florida. So we had to work even harder to make that shit happen. And I think we did that. But what we really did, I believe, is inspired a next level generation. I've got pictures of crowds that I shot from stage, and I could see guys that are now in Obituary and other bands.
How does that make you feel? Like when younger musicians tell you that your work inspired them to pick up an instrument or start a band, what does that mean to you?
Well, it just means that when you have an opportunity, when someone needs your help or some advice, give it to them. Help them move along, because what I wanted to do now is help our marketplace, our metal movement to be more noted. So it wasn't all about us. I was that politician again. I haven't created a Nasty Savage Wage of Mayhem fanzine where I'd reach out to bands like Siren, a local band, and other heavy metal bands in Florida. I started networking and promoting them because I knew that as soon as they saw another band from Brandon or Florida or Tampa, they were going to get quick notoriety because, we set the tone. One day I was at home here when I lived with my mom in Brandon, and my mom goes, "There's 2 boys at the door. They want to talk to you." And I'm like, okay. So I go to the door and these 2 kids are on bicycles with banana seats and the chopper bikes, Schwinn's. And I go, "Hey, what's up?" He goes, "Are you Nasty Ronnie?" And I go, "Yeah." From Nasty Savage? I go, "Yeah." They go, "Well, we're John and Donald Tardy. We want to know how to start a band." And it was the Tardy brothers. And I go, "Dude, you guys are brilliant. You came to the source of the marketing dude who's really kind of marketing metal right now and a kind of a leader in the metal Tampa Bay metal scene." And I go, "You guys are brilliant, man." I said, "Get in my car." I had a 70 Chevelle. I said, "Let's go to Lithia Springs. Let's throw the Frisbee for about 4 or 5 hours. And then, I think everything will be fine by the time we come home." And so that's the kind of stuff that I love to do because like 15 or 20 years later, they contacted me and said, "Hey, man, I just want to let you know we're putting you in a video." It was called 10,000 Ways to Die. It was an animated obituary video. And they featured Nasty Savage in the first 30 seconds where they come to a show and it's a Nasty Savage show. They can't get in, they get in, and they're right up front thrashing. And all of a sudden the zombies come in and it starts their show. They're doing like Unchained Angel and we're singing up there. So that video went on to have over 10 million views. So when you give, you get. When you earn respect, you give it, you get it. And, through the years, stories go from deicide, morbid angel, death, atheist, all those similar stories with all these guys. I remember when I met Chuck and Cam and Rick, they came with the guys from the Guillotine fanzine from Orlando to one of our shows at the London Victory Club in Tampa, and they were literally thrashing their asses off right on the front of the stage. And next thing you know, they came to one of our practices and they said, hey, we just started this band called Mantis. And, the history's there. And, I'm really proud that if we were an inspiration, that these guys took it to another extreme. And I think the reason, because they were watching our extreme craziness, mayhem shit that we did on stage, burning images in their brain. So they're like, wow, Possessed came out and Venom. We got to be like this, and take it to a whole nother level. And then
you guys did a lot of crazy stuff on stage.
Oh, for sure. But what happened is they created Tampa Bay to be the death metal capital of the world. And Morris Sound Recording, after we recorded there, so many bands came from all over the world to record there. But Scott Burns was an assistant when he was like getting coffee and changing tapes. And then he became this death metal pioneer engineer who's legendary. And then the deaths and obituaries and, all the bands that recorded there kind of left us in the dust, then we were just still Nasty Savage. But I was proud of that because they give us recognition. And, it's still known as one of the death metal capitals of the world. So it's been a wonderful time for me just to see the success of others.
Yeah.
Hello, you. Hello, new. Hello, early. Hello, pump, push. Hello, energy, effort. Hello, movement. Hello, goals and real swole, the best you've ever looked. Hello, PRs and PBs. Goodbye, couch sitting and TV, or tired and groggy, lackluster and foggy. Instead, say hello to a new version of you. And say hello to Make Wellness, to see what you really can do.
Hate is the chain, enters the brain. Run if you can, touch out a man. Stop on the dime, since 69. Everyone sees what you appear to be. You really know what you are. Satan in high heels, devil dog, delirium. Twist out a man, run if you can. Painted on canvas, hop to the sky. Eyes on the water, the sands of time. Everyone sees what you appear to be. You really know what you are. Satan in high heels, devil dog, delirium. Hate is the change, enters the brain. Run if you can. Twist out a man, words of the wise and soon. Roar in the jeopardy room. what you appear to be. You really know what you are. Satan in high heels, devil dog, delirium. Hate is the change, X is the praise. Running through throats, to the side of left, working the wise and soon. You're in the shepherding room.
But I mean, where does that, what keeps from Nasty Savage surviving lineup changes, shifting trends, and decades in the music industry? What has kept the fire burning all these years?
Well, it was the power of the music, I mean, I have to hand it to, Ben and Dave and Fred, and then there was Dezo, Chris Morehouse, Richard Bateman, Curtis Beeson, all the different players who put the effort in to create the music. And, because I don't write the music, I would tell them, look, this is what I want to get: heavier, faster, stronger, come on, because death metal was creeping up on us and we were like fading out. And so I was always trying to push for heavier, faster, stronger, like the $6 Million Man shit. But I really think it was always pushing the pedal to the metal, always trying to create new music, writing, being creative, not worrying about what anybody else is writing or anything. We did our own thing. We kind of, there's not really a lot of bands who sounded like us because we're so kind of progressive thrash and unique. And I love that. And I just let the guys do their thing. And I honor that so much because I was just the singer, but I was the marketing guy. And a lot of the image focused on me, but the power of the music drove me to want to succeed more and more because we were a team. So, you just got to wake up in the morning and not waste the day,
Yeah,
Like
please don't waste the day.
joy and
Don't
sorrow
waste a
today and
day.
tomorrow. What greater crime than the loss of time,
Fucking A. No better words could have been said on that one. Absolutely. So, I mean, you were the marketing guy. That was just from jump that you just stuck in that role and went with it. So, I mean, was that a defining moment for you? I mean, when was the point where you realized we've built something special here and we're going somewhere?
Well, there was just no time to stop. It's like that snowball, like I said, going downhill. It was a long, long, long hill. And it's like the surfer looking for the ultimate wave. You kind of better never find it because you want to keep searching. And, or the biker, I'm a biker. And I'm always looking for the ultimate destination, but really the ultimate road to ride. And you want to keep riding. That sun's going to come up every day. So you want to produce and there's competition on your ass, in front of you, behind you. So it gets to be like a baseball game. You got to move the runner, got to get the runner to the next base. You got to get him to score. You got to win. And that's why, man, I was just loving it because there was no smoke and mirrors, and the music spoke for itself. The media did. And then when they saw us live, that backed it all up too. So I looked at it this way. In the old days, Johnny Cash, Elvis Presley, Little Richard, and Jerry Lee Lewis were touring the South together when they were young, and they'd tour and go into a club and play. Little Richard would get off the stage, then he'd look at Jerry Lee and say, "Top that." Jerry Lee would go. So he'd get up there and play his thing. Good golly. No, he'd do whatever his songs were. He'd be burning it down. Next thing you know, he'd light his piano on fire and burn it down. So that's my mentality, and it always has been.
Yes,
when you have
mentality. The burning of the TV.
When you have the stage, take it, and own it. And let the person behind you take it and do their thing. But when we have it, we're going to own it.
Owning it.
When did the TVs come into play? Was that the inspiration, the pianos? I mean, did that inspire the TVs? I'm just so curious on that.
What it really was Wendy O. Williams and the Plasmatics. She used to smash TVs with sledgehammers, and she saw guitars in half. And we became friends and pen pals, and she helped promote Nasty Savage in the early days. Wendy O. Williams, a legendary woman with a strong mind. And she was just a gentle soul, but on stage she was crazy, wild, and extreme. And she loved what I was doing. Matter of fact, we were playing the next night at Lemoore with Slayer. And I'm over there at CBGB's doing a sound check or something. And the owner comes up and goes, "Are you Nasty Ron?" I said, "Yes, sir." He goes, "You got a telegram here." And I go, "A telegram?" So I read the telegram. It's from Wendy O. Williams. And she says, "Hey, Ron, I'm sorry I can't make it tonight, but I'll see you tomorrow. I'm in L.A. with Lemmy doing something with Motorhead." She goes, "But I'll be at Lemoore tomorrow in New York City to see you. Can't wait to see you. Thanks." I'm like, wow. So we play our show with Slayer, and it's badass. You know, Hollow's Eve was there too. They opened up, then us, and then Slayer came on. After my show, I had a TV set, smashed it up. I was kind of bloody, you know, had scratches or scars, whatever, bruises, dirty. There was no shower in our dressing room down in the basement. So I come up the steps and I go in. "Is it okay if I take a shower?" You go, "Oh, hell no. You ain't taking no shower in our thing. We're from California," you know, blah, 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 that real shit. I go, "Oh, really?" I said, "I got you." They didn't say they're from California, but they had that, you know. I said, "Oh, I got you. No worries." So they went on stage. What did I do? Go in their place and take a shower. So I'm in there taking a shower, I get out, have my towel. And all of a sudden, Wendy O. Williams comes in. She goes, "Nasty, oh shit." And we hung out. I was sitting in the big chair and shit, drinking their beers. Next thing you know, Slayer's set is over. They come in the dresser with their guitars all sweaty. And they're like, "Oh, Wendy O. Williams, what's up?" And she goes, "Hey, boy." She goes, "That's cool, but I'm with Nasty Ronnie." She goes, "Come on, Nasty." And we left. But that was the story about that. So that's what started me with the televisions was Wendy O. Williams. What's a television? It gives you information at the time. It tries to brainwash you or propagandize you. So she looked at that as to destroy what they were trying to feed you. I looked at it as a gimmick, as this great gimmick for me to work with, but I didn't use sledgehammers. I would, you know, I throw them up in the air and smash them on my chest, and and then I end up opening them up, put my head through it, all this crazy shit. So I just used it as a symbol of entertainment, that this TV's got something on me right from the get-go. I'll go with the remotes and try to work it. I look at the crowd, you know, I know how to get people involved in what I'm doing. They follow along. I'll pull it back and forth up the front of from side to side of the stage like a wagon, like a little red wagon and some crazy little kid, you know. So I just go into my own zone. I never really worried about anything but what I'm doing. And, you know, people can gravitate to that. That's all good. And it's brutal. I mean, all of a sudden the blood comes and they go, "Holy shit." So if I could just get people to forget about their everyday hassles long enough to be, you know, like so when you come out of a movie, you judge the movie, you go, "Wow, that was pretty cool. I understood it and I liked it," you know. So after a Nasty Savage concert, I want them to go, "Wow, dude, I forgot about everything but what was going on. And I'll never forget the shit I just saw." That's just extreme. I love that.
Fans talk about the televisions, the blood, and the chaos. But was there ever a moment where you stepped back and thought maybe we've taken this a little too far?
Never. No, it's really controlled violence, and it's entertainment. And to this day, every show that I blessed to do, since I'm getting old, I feel like I'm in the fourth quarter of life now. I look at it as a challenge to me to communicate effectively with this crowd, to take them on this journey with me and have them kind of understand what's going on, but be entertained enough to understand what they're witnessing, because it's really important. You know, in the old days, I was singing about leather and spikes and death and, you know, fire and thunder and lightning and all this shit. As I got older, my lyrics talked more about humanity, inhumanity, life, death, love, passion, you know, communication, relationships, and abnormalities with people. They're, you know, psychological shit, you know. So I had to do that on stage too. Sometimes I'll put a message out there and a positive messages to let people know we're sharing this night together, people. Let's enjoy this celebration that we're having. Sort of like the celebration of the Lizard King that Jim Morrison did. You know,
Mr. Mojo Rising, hell yeah.
It's a communication factor with the people. And I really strive to do that, you know. Like when we do the song The Morgue, I stop for a minute, I say, "Look," I said, "if you're not talking to somebody in your life right now," and people listen to this right now, because I want to touch everybody listening. If you're not talking to someone in your life right now, your mom, your brother, your dad, your best friend, for some reason, years have passed and you got mad, and you make that call. Make the call. Can I testify? Make the call, and because life goes by fast, man. Because the next time you might get to see this person is in the morgue. And all of a sudden, we start playing the morgue. I run back and put the skull mask on like Day of the Dead, and I take these flowers and I start sprinkling them like she loves me not, and dropping them on the TV. So it's a psychological thing to say, this thing's going to get sacrificed in a little bit, and this is the flowers I'm throwing on it now. But for you guys, I want you to feel the passion about making a call and making a difference. And I swear to God, at the end of the show, people come up to me and goes, dude, I'm calling tomorrow. I haven't talked to my mom in years. And that kind of stuff makes me happy that now I can do positive things. Just really coming together, celebrating. We got in Germany or England, wherever we're at, people from all over the world are there. One common bond is the music. And, love your brother, man. Support metal, but it's bringing us all together. Forget about everything. We're going to celebrate tonight.
Absolutely. That is a wonderful message.
There's this world beneath the surface, a place where raw talent lives, where voices go unheard until now. Welcome to Underground Nation, the home of the unheard, the stage for the next wave, the movement where artists, entrepreneurs, and creators rise from the shadows and take their place in the spotlight. Head over to underground-nation.com, download the app today, and step inside the experience. Dive into exclusive news articles, unfiltered reviews, powerful podcasts, and a full collection of magazine issues showcasing talent from across the globe. Discover your next favorite artist before the world catches on.
So, you have that mentality going on stage. What point did you realize that Nasty Savage concerts were becoming more than shows, they were becoming experiences?
From the first one. I knew that was my goal, man. I'm like, if I'm up
the off rip, it was like, there's no agenda. This is what we're doing.
All we could do is keep enhancing, keep shocking, keep sensationalizing, keep magnifying, and it's like the song Indulgence. There's a line in it that says, oh God, here upon my back I'll lie. No, I can't remember it right now. Anyway, it was kind of search for the meaning with fascination, reach for the opening with despair. And that's what it's about. It's never be satisfied. If you're an artist, I look at everything as a blank canvas, and in every show is a blank canvas that we have to paint the picture with storytelling. And, you just have to, it was just my thing. I see other bands would come up there and like we played, and what the hell it was Chicago, like the Death Fest thing. I forget what it was called. A pretty big show in Chicago the guy does every year. There's a lot of drama going on about it right now. But he had a bunch of death metal bands in there from like Scandinavia and all over Sweden, and all those guys with the white faces and the black, and all these younger thrash metal, death metal bands and shit, and black metal, and here we're coming up old school thrashers. So I knew what was going to happen. So I'm watching these bands, and fucking brutal bands just killing it, but they're not moving around. So I'm like, that's cool. But I said, when we come up there, the people are going to be shocked the fuck out. And, that just drove me to do my thing, because a lot of these young kids never heard of us, never seen us. Maybe they have a little bit here and there, but now they were going to see us. So it's like always getting ready for the big game, and I loved it, because even those bands were going, holy shit, this is fucking crazy. Come back, like all bloody and blood all over the place and shit, and it's like, wow. So it's always got to be extreme for me.
Always extreme. But off stage, you seem like a completely different person. How do you balance Ronnie the person with Nasty Ronnie the performer?
I guess it's kind of the professionalism when you're a performer and you know when to turn it on and turn it off. Because if I was to go around acting like the crazy guy all the time, I'm not saying it's it's like a comic strip character. Some people might think that, but I don't give a fuck what they think because I have to save it all. It's like a battery charger. You're charging it all day on your phone so you can finally work. And then after you're done with it, you got to plug it back in. So it's really like the ultimate hype. I'm not a drinker. I don't drink or anything like that. So I never really drank a lot. So, my mind is pretty clear what I do. And so it's just that you charge it up, you do it, but then you got to take care of business. You got to get paid. You got to work with the promoters. You got to get to the next town. You got to deal with your guys in the band. It's a lot. You got to take care of business. Who's doing the T-shirts? How many do we have? How much did we make? Did we count it all? Did we get it in, get it out? There's no time to be that guy. You better jump on take care of business. And that was my mentality. It's like, yeah, I'll do my thing, but after we're done, now I got to load gear or something, not that I load a lot of gear, but I would do that too. Whatever it takes, pump the gas, drive the van, whatever it took.
Got to do it. Absolutely. So your newest material on Jeopardy Room proves that Nasty Savage still has plenty to say. What message or feeling did you want listeners to walk away with?
That we were still alive. That was a new chapter. It was the first album we did in 20 years after Psycho Psycho, which was the full band with Richard Bateman on bass. So it was just when David and I were the last two original members, and we played in Mexico City. They say all the flights are covered, then you got to pay all your luggage fees or guitars. It's always some kind of bullshit, and you get to the gig, there's no water, they don't have food or, just total crazy shit. You don't know what kind of gear you're getting sometimes. But so he was just tired of being tired. He said, dude, I'm out of here after this. And he quit. I was like, damn, David, you quit. But he thought it was done. He thought we were done with Nasty Savage. I said, brother, I want to do another album. I've got a lot to say in my lyrics. I've got in my mind, I've been writing these concepts and stories, and I just want to do another album. So we acquired another guitarist, David Orman, who's a ripping guitarist. And one day Dave called me like a week or two later, goes, so what's up? Did you ever find a good guitarist? I said, yeah, we already got one. We're writing new songs, and, we're going to play some shows. And we had a date to play, and then we got a new bass player, Kyle, at the same time. And I said, dude, I want to do something different now. I said, this time, I want to kind of push the envelope of what I want these songs to kind of replicate with the concept of the words that I'm singing about. Before, I would just get the songs and create titles to each song. I had a bunch of titles. I said, okay, that song could be this, that song this. This time I said, look, Pete, I've got this title called, anyway, I'd say I got this title, I got that title. And then, so it it gave me more of a good feel of what I was looking for. And then that way I felt a lot better about the songs. And that's what happened. So each song got developed. And when we were going into the studio, we were ready to go, but it was fun for me. I got to write and I got to see this music. I said, look, don't worry about anything, guys. Just do what's in your heart. They were fans of Nasty Savage and they knew it. So they wanted to keep true to that, but I said, bring that death metal shit in. Bring it heavier. Make it heavier, man. And that's what we did. And then my vocals, I just went with mid-range vocals. I didn't try to do a bunch of high vocals and all that shit. And then at the same time, I called upon some old friends, John and Donald Tardy, the guys who came to my house that day. I said, hey, man, I want you guys to be on this next album with us. And we're going to redo the song Witch's Sabbath from the demo tape, and I'd like you guys to do it. Could you do that? And right away, Donald said, oh, hell yeah, I'll do that. I'll play the drums. And I didn't even think about that. He goes, yeah, I'll do the drums. He goes, but you're going to have to talk to John about the other stuff. So I got with John, and he agreed. And they delivered it right when we needed it in the studio between all their touring schedules. And it was really important to me to have some connection because now people could connect. Not only the music is similar with the two guitars, the progressions, and they had that kind of sound, aggressive, and then we had the artwork of the cover. It was a few of those connections that made everybody remember Nasty Savage. We brought in Obituary to tie it into a little more press, and I thought that was very important to bring that back. And I even got Fred Dregeshin involved from our original bass player, that he kind of did the intro to the album, Invocations. So with that we were off and running. and recorded. Oh, another thing was going back to Morrisound Recording. This is the third time I've been in the studio at all three of their locations. It was very important for them to bring it back with us. So with all those factors, old school people, now when we're playing these shows from time to time across the states, or even across the countries, these older guys will be there and they'll have their son. So we're looking at two generations. These Nasty, I got your demo in 84 or 83, and you sent it to me, and I still have it, but this is my son. So the generation thing is so cool, man. And you just have to respect that. And we had this new offering. It was so important to promote it right. And I started reaching out to all my old contacts, and I started reaching out to all these like favorite Thrasher fans who are kind of iconic fans in the metal world, tape traders and big time guys that I've always kept relationships with. So I'd send them bits and pieces of the songs because I wanted to get their feedback. Everything I was hearing was all good feedback. So I was real excited. And, you know, the thing came out, and unfortunately it's just strong in Europe, and we don't have good distribution in America. We're trying to work on all that right now, too.
You are headlining Tampa Death Fest. What does that mean to perform at an event that celebrates the very scene Nasty Savage helped create?
Wow, such a dynamic, good question there. Well, I think really we're headlining for one reason. You know why? Because after we play, there's such a mess on the stage. They don't want to have to clean it up real quick. So it kind of worked good for us. But no, either way, we are going to be the last band on Saturday night. That could be a death sentence as well because people get tired and want to go home. It's a lot of people to see. So I always like to play around 9 o'clock. I think now we're going to be going on about 11. But, you know, whoever stays, they're going to see some old school mayhem. But what this is about, people, is the Tampa Bay metal scene who has such honor and respect and passion for metal and death metal that they do these concerts and shows, and they work their ass off to maintain Tampa Bay to be the heavy metal capital of the world, or at least Florida. And I'm very respectful to that. And that to them to acknowledge that, hey, you're not death metal, Nasty Savage, but you have inspired generations maybe of death metal in some way. I'm not saying all of it, but in some little way, we might have been a part of that. So for us, it's exciting to play. But man, I'm telling you what, every single band that's going to play there is the next generation. It's the next movement to see who breaks out, be the next Morbid Angel, to be the next Deicide or Obituary or Death.
Right.
That's where we're at, man. And these guys, I'm really excited because I've heard some of these guys and bands, and there's some badass bands, but they got to break out. They got to individualize themselves, and they've got to be the next. We're giving it to them. We're giving them the keys to the castle. They just need to take it. And that's what's important, why people should come to this show. You know, it's coming up.
I would love to.
It's it's Friday, September 4th and Saturday the 5th of September. And you can get tickets at ticketbud.com. But it's so important to support this. This is the next generation, people. Come and support these people.
Keeps living.
And it's at the ultimate morgue, you know, the brass mug, a place that's dedicated to heavy metal and death metal and every other kind of music possible. But this is what it's about, man. Come out and support this shit. And we're excited to be there.
As you said that, Ronnie, Tampa has become synonymous with extreme metal. Why do you think Florida became such fertile ground for some of the heaviest music on the planet?
I mean, it's just the history. Look at the bands who came from here that are iconic legends now. I'm not talking about Nasty Savage. I'm talking about Deicide, Morbid Angel, Atheist, Death, you know, Obituary. Just those guys alone, you know, I mean, impacted people so heavy that, you know, I mean, that's what it's about, man. And that's why if we help those roots spread from the beginning, I'm proud of that. But these guys took it to a whole nother level, you know, and then that's why, because now the people who come after them, they're going, how can we be heavier? How can we be different? How can we be the next ones? And they better take advantage of this, get off their ass, put gas in the tank and go to Texas or down to Miami or go out there and market yourself. Don't wait for it to drop in your lap. It's not all about social media, man. You better get some of that guerrilla marketing shit, man. Go out and put some flyers out, shake some hands, put those flyers on windshields and stuff. At a heavy metal concert, it might be Judas Priest or Iron Maiden in town, or Ozzy, rest his soul, Black Sabbath, whatever. When it's a heavy band in concert, go out there and paper it, work it, promote yourself, man. Go out and do it. It's not all about how many followers, because those followers don't always come to the shows. So that's why I think it's a progression, man. And there's a lot of great leaders out there they're showing, they could be very, run it like a business. And that's one thing I envy about Obituary. Those guys are on tour constantly, man. They joke and say, "Oh no, we're nothing but glorified T-shirt salesmen." But no, they're businessmen. And they're very smart, and that's what it takes. You got to be smart, dude. Don't get in it for the chicks. Don't get in it for the drugs. Don't get in it for the be a rock star.
Absolutely.
Get in it to take care of business and make your parents proud of you. Make a difference in your life. And one thing, after we finished the Jeopardy Room album, I was doing a behind the scenes thing, and you could Google it, the making of Jeopardy Room. So I had to go over to Obituary's studio over in Riverview around Gibsonton. I said, "Hey man, I need to come over and get your interview about being a part of this for the documentary." I said, "Sure." So I go over there, we got the interview done, and then I go, "Hey man, do you have like a publicity guy or promotions people or company, or what about other record companies I could reach out to?" And they started giving me all this information. And so they helped me out quite a bit. I'm driving home, laughing out loud to myself, going, "God damn," I said, "now the teacher is now the student, man." It came back and forth.
That must have been crazy to have that, the whole, teacher becomes a student moment. So has your definition of success changed since the early days of Nasty Savage?
I don't think so, because success is measured to me in failures. You could fail a bunch of times. You get the low and the high ground stuff. And without really appreciating success, you got to have some failure in there. So that should drive anybody that's listening right now to, it's not only about success. Success is measured like, oh, success, I'm successful. Or are you maintaining? Are you happy with your life? When you look in the mirror, what do you see? I mean, that's the success level we should all, I think, have. Have you been a better man or woman today? Have you helped somebody? Just be kinder. I got to say right now, this yesterday was a devastating day to the Tampa metal scene, to the world metal scene. We lost Mike Browning of the early Morbid Angel. And, Mike Browning was a great drummer. And he was always a kind guy, always the kindest dude I ever met, laid back. He was a toy collector like me, and we had a lot of things in common. And you measure success by when you leave this earth, what are people going to say about you? And everything I'm reading and seeing, they're saying great things about Mike Browning, and that's important. And I think that's how you level success, is what have you done for others to be successful? Success is measured many different ways, but the only way I could measure it is being happy, content, having your health, your family, and love of your life, and, getting through another day in a positive way, and not being a dick.
Facts.
Yeah, don't be a dick.
Fucking facts.
Put that on a T-shirt.
Don't be a dick. Success, when you look in the mirror, a lot of people are filled with hate. When they look in the mirror, they see hate, and they hate to see hate, but that's who they are, is hate. Yeah, and that's some of the stuff I write about, it's like, look in the mirror and shit. I mean, read the lyrics to the Jeopardy Room. It's some heavy stuff that I stored in my head for a long time. And I've got a lot of volumes ready for the next album, which we're kind of talking to a few people right now about doing.
Nice.
Some artists wait to be discovered. Others step into the shadows and take their shot. Welcome to Mic Check Thursday, hosted by the host with the Ghost Bounce Ball Boogie. Every week, the Boogeyman opens the gates, searching for the realest voices in the underground. No industry politics, no fake hype, just raw talent and honest feedback. Think you've got a hot track? For just 99 coins, submit your song and get one guaranteed play live. Get reviewed by Bounce Ball Boogie and the full panel of creatures from the Boogieverse. And if your sound hits different, you might earn something most artists never get: a personal invitation to a spotlight interview on the official Underground Nation podcast. This isn't a contest. This is a gateway to exposure, to community, to your next level. Join us live for Mic Check Thursday. Bring your track, bring your courage, and step into the Boogieverse. The Underground is watching. Are you ready to be heard?
But so far, Ronnie, what accomplishment are you most proud of, not only as a musician, but as a person?
I think, having a wonderful family, a daughter and a son. My daughter just turned 25 and she's graduated college and got her degrees and she's working for a financial company and they already want to make her like a CEO of the company. She's a financial planner and just very successful, has her own place. And you can only wish the best for your kids. And my son, he works at the Harley Davidson dealership for 2 years. He was the number one salesman. And now they just made him assistant sales manager and they're going to put him through finance school. So, but they grew up with Born to Ride, going to shows, and we never had babysitters, And I think accomplishments like that are to maintain a business that I run, Born to Ride, of 266 issues. This is the magazine right here, Born to Ride. This is like having a baby every month, man, producing a magazine. A lot of elements in here, a lot of communication, sales, marketing, doing the TV show. But also I love to go out and be like American Pickers. I'm always buying shit at garage sales, flea market, and I'm in like 6 different antique malls that I do a lot of business. Yeah, treasure hunter, treasure seller. I'm actually writing a book that said, I haven't written it yet, but it's going to be called I Made $1 Million Off Other People's Junk.
My dad would love that book.
There's etiquette and all that stuff.
Yes, my dad collects. My dad loves that. Yeah, he actually grew up, with Harleys and everything. It's part of our family as well, but my dad really gets into the collection part, like all coins and history.
It's fun, man. You never know what you're going to find. And I find the coolest stuff. I find the wow factor shit.
I want to see this coin collection, by the way.
Oh, I have more than coins. I have everything you could think of, from comic books to records to antiques, toys, collectibles, Star Wars.
Oh, shit.
G.I. Joes.
I did a Nasty Ronnie tour.
You and my dad would get along just fine. Yeah, it would be best.
I got giant booths in 5 different antique malls. And yesterday I was at a Webster Flea Market. It's just on Mondays. And I sold 8 long boxes of comics and then like 8 more small boxes. So almost 3,000 comic books I sold yesterday. It was amazing. So I was really happy with that.
Crazy. I'm sitting there helping. Yeah, I'm helping my dad price his comic books right now, trying to get them.
It really is, and you got to kind of look at the highs and the lows of the numbers and then figure out what it's really worth.
Yeah. Just because it says it's worth that, don't mean that's what you're going to get for it.
Yeah, it's supply and demand. I try to go half of what they say or less, but I was blowing these out. But I have fun doing it. I keep very busy doing everything I'm trying to do. I got contracts. I got proposals I got to write for Born to Ride, and we got bike nights and shit. We just figured out meetings. And that's what me, Nasty Savage is not my full-time job, but I have fun doing it. We're going to play the Tampa Death Fest. We're also playing Running Free Festival in Bulgaria, and we're going to Thrashing Madness in Zurich, Switzerland, playing with our buddies in Messiah. So it's exciting. We still have 3 shows to do. We're talking about a tour with Hyrax in actually March coming up for next year. And I don't know if we can even pull that one off, but we're going to work and try to do it.
Well, hopefully.
Oh, yeah. And safe travels to overseas, bro. That sounds like a really dope to attend.
Oh, man, I can't wait to go to Bulgaria,
I wish I was going with you.
We're going to turn them on to what the Wage of Mayhem really is. It's so lovely. When you see these young kids and you watch their eyes go, holy, you can just tell they're saying, wow, that wow factor shit. That's what I like.
The wow factor. Speaking of the wow factor, 50 years from now, when people look back on Nasty Savage, what do you hope they remember?
Man, I hope first off that they can remember us. Second, hopefully it could have inspired more people to do what we did, and maybe we'll be put in history somewhere. I think 50 years from now, I hope everything's good with our country and the world, and and everybody's getting along. And 50 years, wow, maybe they read some of the words of the interviews, and that everything should still be on YouTube, and so maybe they could hear some of the words of encouragement of life and life lessons and be better people, and be inspired somehow. The music is the music. You can never change that. You can't change it. Once you record it, it's done. So what we can change is ourselves to be better people, I think.
Yeah, amen to that.
Amen.
Ronnie,
Can I testify?
Praise the Holy Tabernacle. But Ronnie, we always like to end on something meaningful. There are people watching right now who are chasing dreams, facing setbacks, or trying to figure out who they are. After everything you've experienced, the highs, the lows, and everything in between, what advice would you give them about staying true to themselves, persevering, and continuing to fight for what they love?
That's a great question. And I think it's important that you be true to yourself first and do what's in your heart. You know, like when we started Nasty Savage, I'd have these guys say, oh man, no, you need to sound like this band. And it's almost like the boy who cried wolf, because like 2 months later, that guy would be into a different band. You know, so you just got to stay honest. When it's all about, guys, if you're going through some hard times, that sun comes up every day. No matter what happens in our lives, sometimes we got to deal with some really hard stuff. It could be death, birth, you know, it could be treason, it could be stabbed in the back, you know, but it could be successful things in your job, your business, your life, your house, you know, your car, flat tires, new engines. I mean, you got to get to work and punch a clock, work for the man 40 hours, man. We have to do this stuff. So the things that we're in control of, it's best to take care of that. Everything else happens. But when we look in the mirror, that's really what we're in control of. So look around. It's like if you had to move tomorrow, your whole house, how many people could you count on to help you move? There's probably not many. So those are the people you need to diversify and think of that. Who are my main people in my life that I care about? So I'm not wasting my time with people who don't even care about me. You know, be real 100%. Have faith in God, or, you know, whoever you have faith in, you know, just have faith, man. And life goes by really fast. And it's very important to just be happy. And you got to find your happiness, you know, and that sun will come up every day, man. Whether you're happy, sad, you're on drugs, get off them. If you're drinking, or you can get in a rut, man, but you can always get out of it, you know. I'm in a process right now, believe it or not. I have to have a hip replacement. But before I do that, I have to lose 75 pounds. So I'm in the process of changing my whole life. And I'm losing weight. I've already lost close to 30 pounds. And
congratulations.
Yeah,
that's a journey.
So, you know, everybody has something they got to climb up that hill. And you can't be afraid to let people know, you know, but the people who are your main people are going to be there for you. And don't forget family. Don't forget how important family is, man. Be true. Be honest.
Don't forget the important people.
And be kind. You know, kindness can spread, man. If we're all a little bit kinder, like Mike Browning was. You know, he was always a kind guy. If everybody's kind, the world could be a better place.
You know,
doesn't that sound kind of corny, right? But I believe in that shit. I really do. Karma.
I believe in it too.
Dude, I'm telling you.
Karma's a real thing. Karma is a real thing. You know, balance. The universe demands balance, and it will get it one day.
Yeah, it's like just sometimes you walk into the post office, you go and open the door, someone's coming out, you hold it open for them, you say, how you doing? They go, hey, how are you? But if you wouldn't have said that, they wouldn't even looked at you. You know, just
exactly
little things like that. You know, I've seen some incredible kindness things that people do, and even if they go unnoticed, it's all right. You know, you don't have to. Oh, look, I did a charity and I gave money. You know, I hate people that do that because they're always trying to say, "Look how great I am, what I did." But you don't even have to do that. Just do it for yourself.
There you go.
Well, speaking of doing it for yourself and being all the charitable, is there anyone that you would love to shout out and give thanks to, or appreciations, or any upcoming plugs, or any last words that you would like to get out there right now?
Man, I appreciate you know, you guys have done a wonderful job, and I'm really happy to be here today. You've asked great questions, and I really feel a good vibe with your dedication, your research ability, whatever you do to pull off this show, because people, they don't just turn on the tape recorder and do it. It takes a production. It takes time. And I really want to thank what you guys do for the metal community. And, you know, it's probably a thankless job sometimes, you know, but you keep pushing on and you keep doing it. And that's the greatest thing that I could look at. And I just want to shout out to you guys for what you're doing, and any other metal media. You know, there's people who've been doing it for 30, 40 years, and those are the people I love because they're passionate. Without the media, without the fans, the bands are nothing. And bands that don't recognize that, I think they're kind of losers, you know, and they think they're high on this pedestal. But I love to see when even big bands stop what they're doing to give you the time of day. and to give you your space and for you to get your job done. And, all the promoters that have helped us and been a part of the record companies. But the fans is where it's really at. The fans that pay the money, they go to the show and they're there up front and they're cheering, they're yelling, they're buying the merchandise for any band. That's what it's all about. I just want to shout out to those guys, the people who are going to see us on tour. We're going to get to meet. Don't ever think you can't come up and say hello, ask a question, whatever, man. I have fun with it. And I just want to shout out to the people who are making shit happen. Producers who produce, winners who win, leaders who lead. That's
Absolutely.
Be that person. Look in the mirror, people, and be that person, guys. Because you know what? The sun's going to come up again tomorrow.
That's right. The world keeps spinning and the sun keeps rising. Well, Ronnie, thank you so much for taking the time to sit down with us and share your journey. It's been an honor hearing the stories behind one of metal's most influential bands.
And to everybody watching, make sure you like, follow, and subscribe to Nasty Savage on all social and streaming platforms, and catch them live whenever they hit your city or country.
And if you enjoyed this conversation, visit underground-nation.com to discover more incredible bands making noise underneath the surface.
And if you're in a band, or maybe you're an artist or a rapper or whatever, you've got that music and it deserves to be heard, send your information now to ugnpodcast@gmail.com.
Until next time, keep supporting underground music and keep making noise underneath the surface. Stay feral, y'all.
What a conversation. A huge thank you to Nasty Ronnie for joining us in the hot seat and sharing the stories, passion, and legacy behind Nasty Savage. It's artists like these who continue to inspire generations and prove that true metal never dies. Now, it's your turn to show your support. Make sure you like, follow, and subscribe to Nasty Ronnie and Nasty Savage on all social and streaming platforms. Stream the music, share it with your friends, and help keep the underground alive. If you enjoyed this conversation, head over to underground-nation.com to discover more incredible artists who are making noise underneath the surface. And if you're an artist with a story to tell, what are you waiting for? Stop sitting there and send your information right now to ugnpodcast@gmail.com for an opportunity to be featured on a future episode of the Underground Nation podcast. Until next time, keep supporting independent music, keep lifting up the underground, and never stop discovering the voices the world hasn't heard yet. This is Underground Nation, making noise underneath the surface.